to be 1. Mind you, in Excel. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to create the body. So once you have our empty shell document, I can start explaining what it is that we're trying to do. Let's check, let's go live and see what we have. It depends. Yeah, if you want to, you can create a new folder entirely, or you can use the existing folder that you have. So this one on the left hand side, yeah. So those are the things that we're supposed to. Those are the things that the physical class will help out with. Do you get? Yeah, so we won't be able to deal with individuals because there will be individual things you want to do that is not, working well, and that's one of the benefits of the physical class. Okay, so I talked about the fact that we've used images before, so I'm going to put out my comments on what we want to talk about. We want to talk about HTML tables. Can you please disable your audio? Then we'll want to talk about images, in details. Then finally, we want to talk about links or hyperlinks. And I'm going to explain what these things do. Table, for example, is used for data presentation, right? Data presentation, to present your data, to make your data show in a tabular form. And images, obviously, to show image. Then links is to navigate from one page to another. So let's start the demo of this now. We want to look at table. How is table constructed? How are tables constructed? First of all, you need a table tag. So again, this is where you start with what are the requirements. The requirement for creating a table is a table tag, and inside a table there are various things you will need. So I'm going to use an Excel as an example because we need to have a reference point of what it is we're working with. So an Excel is a very good example of how a table should look like, because again, based on what I said, a table is used to represent information. I don't think I have Excel on this system, so Excel is not going to work on this system. So let's move on. But I'm sure you understand the way. Just picture Excel, and where you have cells and then you have rows and column. That's the kind of table I'm talking about. We're about to build that same table now. So the first thing you want to do in a table is to specify that you have intention to create a table, and it's by writing your table tag. You create your start tag and you create your end tag. The next thing you need to define is that the table must have a row. After you've defined your table, the next thing you need to specify is that the table must have a row, because you can't have a data without a row. In a table you have a cell. Using Excel now, for example, in an Excel sheet you have individual cells. Those cells cannot exist without the row that goes across. That part where you have your counter 1, 2, 3, 4. On top you have A, B, C, D. Then on your left you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 1, 2, 3, 4s, they are called rows. Then A, B, C, D, they are called columns. So if the Excel sheet came out now, I would have used that to explain. But I'm sure we are used to Excel and we know what I'm talking about. So we have to define what first? The rows. And the rows is the one that has to do with 1, 2, 3, 4. So excuse me, to do that we do what? TR. TR represents table row. So I'm going to use this to define everything so that you see. Define the table. That's what that does. It defines the table. Then the next thing that we did there, that's TR, is to define what? The table records, or rather the table row. And the reason why I'm breaking this down is because it contains a lot of tags. To bring out table, it contains a lot of tags. So I'm taking my time to explain it. The next thing we have, after you must have defined the rows, just picture Excel again. You've defined the rows. What is next in the role is the data inside it. So how then do you define data of that is inside each of the row? You do table data, which is represented by TD. Notice how we have our open tag and close tag. So this is what you define your table data. Let's start from the beginning. The first tag defines the table, the initiation of the table. So look this as Excel sheet. So this is like the whole Excel sheet here. Then the second thing we define is that the row, Excel row, which is your 1, 2, 3 on the column on the left, that guides where you are. Then the last, the final thing you need to worry about is the data inside those rows. That's the TD. So again, we will now go and just type. This can be our content. You say our content of the table data goes in here. So that's it. This is it. Of course, I'm going to show you how it looks like. This is what the whole thing is all about. This is the definition. This is how you structure your table. I'm going to remove all the comments now to make it more easier on the eye for you to read and try to make sense out of it before I visualize what is happening. So look at what it is now. Table, row, and look at how I nest everything. The table, table row, table data. Close the table data, close the table row, close the table itself. Let's now provide the data. So let's say the data is 1. Let's go and visualize and see what we have in our coding exercise. So here, let me remove. So here we have our 1. Let me make this big. You can see the 1 up here. That's the one we have, but it's not looking like Excel. That's what you ask yourself. Why is it not looking like Excel? So I want to trigger that so that it will give us a kind of sense of that. Okay, we're actually looking at a table. This is a table, but we're not seeing it like that. So let me make it visually appealing to you so that you see the Excel-like feature. The way you can do that is to specify an attribute. You will know what an attribute is. An attribute gives more information to the element and tells the browser what else to do. So we want to specify the border attribute of this table to be 1. By so doing, you add a kind of border to your table. So what I want to do now is I want to make it bold enough so that we'll be seeing it without zooming and zooming out. So I'm going to add style and do font size. Let's say 20. Let me use this method. Okay, let's move on. So what we've been able to do, is that we've been able to set just a data to be 1. Mind you, in the Excel case, we have A, B, C, D on the top side, while on the bottom we have 1, 2, 3 like that. So if we want to replicate the Excel experience, let's try and replicate the Excel experience. The first thing that shows on the Excel on the top is A, letter A, followed by B, C, D. While on the left hand side, after the A, we have a, I think, blank space. Then we have 1, 2, 3, like a serial number. So in that case, we make this place blank. Notice that this is a table row, meaning row goes from left to right. So if you want more data, in the row from left to right, if you want more data to be added to this, like followed next, the more data to keep adding up, you keep increasing what? Your table data. So it means if you add another table data here and you say 2, you're going to have something like this. Let me try and increase the font again. So you have something like this, 1, 2. So if you want to have the third data, you have 3 here, we'll have that effect, 3. So you are creating your data, already. So in Excel, you have it in form of A, B, C. Anything you put in there is what will show. So let's leave the first space blank and let's go with ABC. So leaving the first place blank is just by emptying the data content of the TD. We can do A here, B here, and provide C here. Table data, and we'll provide C. All what you've been doing, you can see this place is blank, so let's just put dash. All what we are doing is adding to the table row. That's what we are doing. We now want to add a new role under this. How do you create a new role under this? To create a new role under this is to create a new table record. TR is a new table record. Where do you create it? Underneath the first TR. This TR is equivalent to what we have here. To create another one, we just come under it and say another TR. And the rule here is that whatever we have on top must match what we have under in terms of the number of data that we have. How many data do we have here? We have 4 data. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to have equal amount of data here for this to be correct. So I just copied and paste. If I go back there, it will just duplicate what I did. So our table is, we are creating our table already. So if we are using Excel as our sample reference, in Excel we have here 1, and here can be any content that we choose for the system to hold. So we have this like that. So I'm going to reference 1, 2. I'm going to create more records up to 3. So this is a table row. I'm going to create another one. So I'm just copying and pasting and label this 2. I have this there, and label the next one 4. So we're creating an Excel-like table. Only that in this case we can't type anything inside here, but I think you get the feel of what's going on. We are creating a table. So let's create a table that contains a name of a football club, right? That shows the goals, that they both have. Let's say on the top we have, let's go on top now and say H1. We already know what H1 does. It's just like a header, and say football scores, right? And then in the table, of course, you have to have in your head how the table should look like. So I'm going to close everything here so that we can start from the beginning again. Then it gives you more understanding of what's going on. So we start off with the table, and in a table, the first role in our head is that we want to say a team versus another team. So that's like 3 data in a row. Team 1 versus team 2. So 3 data in a row. So what's the row? So 3 data. I have TD data 1, which is team 1. Then the second data will be versus. Then the third data will be team 2. Let's see how our outlooks look like. So do you see team 1 versus team 2? Why are we not seeing the border? We didn't specify that. So let's specify the border. So the border 1. So do you see that? The next thing we want to do is I want to make it a little bit prettier by making it take up all the whole space, because the space is not properly being used up. The next thing I need to do, I need to specify another attribute that will help us with that. Again, I can use CSS, but I'm just trying to make it easier. So I provide that percentage, and we have this kind of look, feel. So let me zoom back and use pixels to specify the width. So let's say we have 400 pixels. Let's use 200. Let's use 270. Okay, let's move on. So team 1 versus team 2, what are their score? So you want to put the score under here. You can do again another TR. TR gives you like another row. You want to create another record under it. And the rule for it is that all the data must be the same in terms of the structure, not the content though. So the structure, we just copy the structure and paste. But instead of putting the same thing, you want to say team 1, what did they score? Maybe it's 7, 6, and then instead of versus, you can just put dash or something. Then what did team 2 score? Team 2 score 4, so that's 6-4. So something that came to my head now, maybe you want to say season 1, you know, in the first season, team 1 beat team 2 6-4. In the next season, team 2 beat this one, that. You know, you want to do something like that. So from looking at this, how do you introduce the next column? The column we want to add now, we want to add it to the left hand side, and that column we want to say, instead of using season, let's use year. So year, team 1 beats team 2 by points. So I want to introduce that on the left hand side here, and that means you can see where this one is. TD is the first thing. If we want to add another thing on the left hand side, it means we have to put it here in the front. Obviously we have to put a new TD here, so that TD will appear before team 1. And what we want to appear there is just a shell that say year, right? So if I let this go now, we'll see year show here. But the reason why it's looking so awkward is because we have 4 table data here and 3 table data here. I made mention something. I said they must have equal number of data, so we have to maintain equal number of data. So again, we wanted the year to be on the left hand side of this place, so that these other ones will be pushed forward to make it even. So we'll come here, table data, and let's go ahead and say year 2000 and year 2000. You know, this team scored these people 6-4. So let's go ahead and add more data. Like we want to say now year 2001, what was the score? Year 2002, what was the score? So let's go ahead and just do one more. So I'll just copy the table row. So I'm copying everything here now. What you normally do in Excel, you just copy and paste. I can just come here. Is the code now I'm copying now. Come here, come to the bottom and duplicate this. Of course, if I didn't make any changes to it, it just duplicated exactly. But since I know what I want to do, I will say year 2001. Team 1 lost, maybe 2-5. And then I have my data there. So this is how to work with table. So this is the basic, this is table 101. Is there any question before I move on to the next thing I want to talk about on tables? And again, you've seen how we made use of the attributes. There are more attributes that we can actually use. This is just one of the attributes. Let me see. I think a message was trying to come in. Okay, let's go on. So this is just the table. So again, as I mentioned, table can be more complex than this. So in what way? Let me start introducing attributes of a table that you can use to spice up or to beautify your table. We have something called cell padding. So I'm going to format this for you so that it makes it very easy for us to read. So we have cell padding and cell spacing. Cell padding is the space between the text and the wall of each of the data. So I'm going to say cell padding is 5. So you just notice the whole thing got bigger, so cell padding is there and cell spacing is also there. So I'll just use 5 as well. So it also creates cell padding is like cell spacing is between the border and the outside border. So you just have that effect depending on what it is you are trying to achieve. So all those effects are there. So I'll also go to the data attributes. Let's speak to the data and see what's going on. So let's look at this versus or this dash. It's possible that you want to align the data. Maybe the way it's showing it's being aligned to the left is not what you want to achieve. So ideally, I think the perfect alignment should look something like this. So you can create a line center. You can create something like this, and you can replicate the same thing here. Of course, you can achieve this with CSS, but since we're not going to get into CSS yet, let's just use pure HTML. So you can see that it's looking a little bit appealing. The same thing, you can apply the same thing to this dash, you know, and what have you. You can move on from there. So we have that. So let's move on to more advanced concepts. And this advanced concept is to bring us to another kind of table design that allows you to merge cells together. Again, if you've worked with Excel, you will know that you can merge column, merge cell, you know, horizontally or vertically. That's, you can merge row or merge column. How do you achieve that in HTML table? So let's go to that effect. Let's pick an example. Before you do that, because it's advanced, I don't want to put everything in one hand. Let's work with images and links, and then finally we'll come back to table to complete that part of the table. So yeah, this is a summary of the table. Let me clear this table off and start up with something else. So it's the same example I used in the 5-minute video. I'm going to do a gallery. I'm going to create a gallery. Gallery is where you have images. So I'm going to create gallery that shows pictures of dresses, and then a click on a button, it will allow you to go and see the detail of the dress. Or like in an app where you have e-commerce websites where you have an item and you browse through the item you want, you've seen it, then you click, it gives you more details. So let's see how we can build that quickly. So I'm going to use a table. So I'm just going to have a 2-column item, nothing too complex. So just we'll add a border for it to guide us so that you can see how I'm building everything. Okay. Again, you start with the row, TR row, then you start with the details. So what we want to put here is the image. We put the images. That's the image of the product. Image of the product. Image of the product. What we'll put. So what we want to put on the is image of the product. The next thing we want to put on the right side is the price. Is the price. Then on the bottom, I want to put a button to click. Again, you have to repeat the TR because it's in the bottom. Then the rule says you have to repeat the number of table on top and on bottom. So I want to put the price. So let's go and get an image online of a product. Or I think I have image here. So instead of us browsing to the online, so let's use picture 1 and put picture 1 here. Right? So let's do that. I think I've already taught you guys how to do this, but let's since we are dealing with image now, so this is like an official explanation on how to bring image into your application, into your web page. So I want to replace this with an image. The tag responsible for image is img, and it doesn't have a special tag for closing. It's self-close, meaning once you open it, you have to close it yourself. It's not like this. You don't close the tag like this. This now how to close. You can see it's not even trying to close it for us. This now how to close an image tag because the tag doesn't contain any content. So the way to close an image tag is to have this. Immediately you create it, you close it. I remember when I was talking about tags that have opening and closing tag. Image is one of those tags that doesn't have content, so it's self-closed. When you create it, you close it immediately. The next thing you need to do is to provide the source. If you just save this, nothing happens. You've not done anything. You just created a tag, but you've not provided the attributes that tells you where the image is located. So you wanted to say where the image is located by providing SRC. SRC is an attribute that lets you define where the image is located. To pick the image, because you are inside here, this is your root directory, this is your file, your image is just there. Then you just write the image directly. pic1.jpg. The image is just there for you, and you can see the image is a big image. It's a big image, so it has taken over all your design, and then you will see how we get to put it under control by specifying other attributes. There are attributes that allows us to specify, oh, this is how big you want the image to go, or this is how high you want the image to go. So you see us specifying those attributes. Let's go ahead and specify that attribute before we talk more about the source, because in this source you should know how to pick image from the internet. You should know how to pick image from other folders in your project, so we'll talk about that. But let's see the image first. So we're going to use width to bring down the image to something we can see on the screen. So we use 20px. So now this is visible for us to see. I think it's okay, but let's do 150. So that's better. The next thing I want to talk about is, how do you pick image that is not in the same root directory? Because this one, having your image here is not clean enough, because it's going to make your project very scattered. So you want a kind of orderliness. Most time you create it inside a folder. So the folder can be named anything, but for the sake of this, I'll just use img to be our folder. And I want to put some picture inside img. I can drag this. I can drag the 2 and put it inside img, and you can see it's inside here now. So how do you reference it from here? How do you reference it from here? So we use we provide the folder name. Folder name is img. Then we say /, and because we are using an IDE, it makes it easy for us, and automatically it knows that there's something in there, and it's that picture. So this is how to reference something inside another folder. Again, if you have deeper folder, it's just for you to locate by specifying those paths to the file. So if I save, you notice we have our second image right there. Okay, that's the use of the SRC. Finally, how do you pick something from the World Wide Web? So let me just quickly do fashion. So let me just type this, go to images. I'll just pick the first image I see. I pick this. We want to use that image. How do you use that image? Let's look for the image here. I just right click and copy image address, right, and paste that image address here. It's as simple as that. I paste the image address here. Notice what it starts with. It's starting with HTTP, meaning it's going through the internet to source for that image, the location where it is hosted. And if you try to check it out here, that's what you see. So we have that image you saw on Google is now here for us to use. If by any means the people hosting this image drop it offline, you make it unavailable, you also won't have access to it again. That's why you sometimes create your own image, and you know that it will always be available for you as long as you need it. That's why you keep those images here. But if you know it's gonna be available online, you can always reference to it, and it makes accessing your website faster. Okay, let's move on. The next thing we have is to provide the pricing, just for the sake of it, so that we can see what's going on. Let's say it's $900, and let's use other effects that we made use of the other time. That's the Dell. Let's say it was formerly $1,000. let's make it small. Again, after the del. So just to give it a kind of effect, let's put it under. So we break. Then again, you can make it gray. So these are just FAC. Okay, at the bottom is where we have our button. So we can say checkout. So I don't want to go ahead and start doing checkout. I mean, add to cart and everything like that. So let's just say checkout. So our checkout button, we want it to take us to our checkout page. So this takes us to another thing I wanted to explain before now, which is merging. You know, I mentioned merging the other time, but I did not, I escaped it. So now I'm back at it. Looking at this table, even though you will not show this table to your normal clients, something that is missing, I'm missing something. I want to put the name of the products. I was saying fine v-neck suit. I can say something like this. I want to make this smaller to 100. Okay, so I want to create more space here. Let's put this in paragraph so that I won't need to break. Oh, okay, so we have that. Then I want to show you how to merge. How do you merge this and this together? Because there's nothing here, there's no content you want to put here. You just want to merge it. You don't want to leave it like this. So how do you merge? You merge by, first of all, deleting this other part. But when you delete that part, it's going to look awkward. Then you need to tell the browser that you want to merge this one to this. How do you do that? You specify an attribute called, I think, call span is equal to 2. Why 2? Because you have 2 columns. Let's say you have 3 columns, like you have a third column now, which, you know, just for the sake of reference or example, let's say we have, and let's say we just have that asterisk there, right? Notice that it has given us issue at the bottom right again. You know, it's not forming like a normal table because we said that this should be to 2. If you want to fix this, this has to be 3, meaning you want it to take the whole of the space. However, let's say we actually genuinely want to make use of this bottom. We don't want it to take up to 3, we just want it to take 2, and we want to put something on the bottom here. So we maintain our 2. However, we then need to provide a TD here, meaning a table data inside here, and we'll put whatever we want to put here inside, and our table is formed. So let's see what's going on in our table. We have the first table here, the TD, which is this one that contains this image. We have the second one, TD, which contains this. We have the third one. So all this is table row. So how many TDs do we have now? We have 3. 1, 2, 3. What about the bottom one? We also have 3. However, we've collapsed this one to be 2. And how did we collapse it? By specifying row span is equal to 2. That's why we're able to collapse it. Then the final third one, we specify it here, out here. So that is how, that's the advanced part of the table. Let's move on to something else. Okay, let's just put this one in the middle, or let's put it on the right hand side, or let's say middle. So we do align and we do center. Again, let me do some styling, or let's remove all the things that are not necessary. Let's remove this one, let's remove this one, and let's remove the border because it's not necessary for what we are demoing. So it's looking simpler now, or it's looking nicer. We can move this one to the extreme right by saying right instead of center. So it's looking like an app. So the next thing you want to do is to turn this to a link. We've explained table, we've explained images, this image. The last thing we have on our agenda is the link. What is a link? A link points you from one page to another, takes you from one page to another. And by the way, there are other forms of navigation. You have buttons, you have link, you have virtually buttons, link, are things that allow you to. Buttons is majorly for action, while link is supposed to take you from one page to another. So this might not be a good example to use a link for, because link are just supposed to push you from one place to another, not pass information. So for this kind of checkout, majorly for websites, you have to use button, because it's going to be carrying information that has been saved somewhere. So, but because we're just doing a demo, so we can use this for it. So how do you specify hyperlink? Hyperlink can be specified by using a tag. This is one of the earliest things I taught you guys. A tag is for hyperlink, and anything inside the a tag, as in the content, is marked as clickable. You can actually click them and they will take you to places. It will take you where you want to go. So when you specify this, it's not still clickable, nothing happens. You then need to tell it, there's an attributes that you need to specify that allows it to go to wherever destination that you want to. So once you specify the attribute, it takes you there. Now you can link to a file within your document. The example I showed you guys was, I think, go to yahoo.com. This is what I showed you guys. So if you click on this link now, you can see automatically it turns to an hyperlink. If you click, it goes to yahoo.com. Yeah, so we'll go back. So that is one of the first things I taught you guys. So but now what we want to do is to show you other things that they have. This is to link to external sites. How do you link to internal sites? So still on this, linking to external sites, how do you link to an external site on a different tab? To do that, you need to add another attribute, and that attribute is called target. Target means where do you want it to go to. If you say blank, you use the word blank like this, it takes it to a whole new tab. So let's try it out. If you do this, it goes to a new tab. Open your Yahoo, your previous page is still there waiting for you. That's what this one does if you want to open to a new tab. So let's just remove it and focus on the next thing we want to talk about now, which is referencing to a page within your web page. This is the web page you've created, someone to come and check out on this page, and you have another page you've designed where it will allow them to make payments. So let's just call make payments or something. Make payments. So if you come here, let's just make it check out. So if you come here, how do you specify the page where you want them to make payment from? You come to your list of folders or list of files here. That page needs to be existing. So you want to create a page called checkout, or call anything, by the way, that you want to. You can call it anything. So we just call it checkout, and it's an HTML page. So this is the page. We'll design this page later. We're leaving it blank. We'll design it later. But come here and you need to specify that page you just create now. You link to it by specifying the full details. Now the same thing we've done here is the same thing we are going to do. The way we specify the directory in image, where if the file is located in a deep rooted file, like if you have another file called let's say utility now, or let's say shopping, right? And then you have another file called inside shopping, you now say file, file.html. This is just to organize your files, and you want to get access to that from here. You just specify your folder first, shopping. You can see the ID is smart enough to know that you have a folder like that, and when you do that, the next thing is like it's showing you the file. So this is how to access what it is that you've created inside that file.html. So we're going to use file.html to demo what we want to do. So for the purpose of testing, let's create a page, HTML page, quickly. So we'll call this checkout page. And we can then do body. I'll just say this is page 1. This is for checkout. This is for checkout purpose, and that's what that page is supposed to do. So let's test if it's working. So if I come here and click, this is for checkout purpose. That is working. How do I go back to where I'm coming from? We can also drop a link here to take us back. Very important. I need to show you that. This is very important. So at the bottom here, you want to go back to where you're coming from. So let's say, a link. We use a link and we say continue shopping. So, but you know what I mean by that. I want to go back to where I'm coming from. I want to go back to our first file, which is 1.html. So from here, you go to your href. So this is very, very important. You need to pay attention to this section. So notice where you are in your file. You are deep inside shopping folder, but your file that you want to go to is 1.html, which is outside. How do you get outside? So you put a dot and then front slash. Very important. A dot is a way for you to go back one step. Dot forward slash. So don't mind that it's a double dot. Dot just means go back. So 2 dots means a folder. So forward slash is like I've gone back, right? So where am I looking at? So I'm not going into images. I've seen the file here, and then I do this. This is how to navigate through. So let me show you how to navigate through a deeper folder. So let's create another deep folder inside this and say folder 1. And let's go and create an HTML file here. We name it 2. I want to copy what I have here inside 2. And how do you get to 1? That's the root directory from 2. So let's try it again. Dot forward slash. Notice what it did. It showed us that there's a folder 1 and there's also a file. Notice your browser. There's a folder 1. We want to go back one step. So once I do folder 1, inside folder 1, what is available? That's if you want to get into 2 that we just created. But we went back. We want to also go back further. This is not what we're looking for. We're looking for 1. So we also do another 2 dots. You do that again. So I told you 2 dots is a way to go back. Then forward slash will show you the list of folders inside there or files. Another 2 dots, you go back. So you can keep going back like that. You can keep going back. You can see that it's now showing you the file on my system. You can keep going back like that until the system can no longer go back again. Now it's just repeating itself because there's nothing to show again. You've gotten to the bottom of the file. So you can try that again. So you can try that on your system and try and figure out what's going on. Okay, so let's go back to our application and demo this now. So let's demo if this will work. So you can see all is working. If I click here, checkout, it comes here. I click continue shopping, it takes me back. So that takes us to the end of this lesson. We'll take questions from here. Do you guys have questions? And by the way, we have exercises, so it will be good for you to go and look at the exercise online. That's exercise 6. So there are some examples on what you can do. I think I added more than one exercises there, so you can follow through everything I've shown you. You will see the exercises and also examples and solution to those exercises. So this is what I did. You should be able to go through it and try and do it. You can see here I have more sophisticated stuff here, where you have the top, the description, the price, the sizes, and you saw what I did there. So you're supposed to do it yourself. Of course, you can go through the examples again and also go through this video again before you attempt the exercise. If you enjoyed this video, kindly like, share, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification to encourage us to make more content like this. If you have any feedback for us, kindly drop it in the comment section below. See you in the next video. Thank you.